Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hampton Roads Real Estate Network. We're back here with another market update. Me and my colleague Drew are going to go ahead and go through our local stats, and we're going to hit a little bit of national news and just update everybody here on last month's data from the real estate market. So we're going to be covering April 2024 in this edition. So Drew, you ready to go?
Sir.
All right. As always, we're going to go ahead and start with our local market out here in coastal Virginia, the Hampton Roads area. We're going to cover the peninsula and the south side markets. So that's Hampton, Newport News up on the peninsula, and then all the 5 cities down here on the south side, including Virginia Beach, Portsmouth, Chesapeake, Suffolk, and Norfolk. All right. As always, we start with median sales price, slightly up 2.4% from March and almost 7% from this time last year. So we're coming in right under 340,000 for median sales price. So we are continuing to see those prices climb as the year goes on, which is something that we have been expecting to see. The next thing we wanted to point out is median days on market. It has gone down just a little bit, which is basically equivalent of 1 day. Basically, what that tells us is, things aren't hanging around on market very long. You're seeing on average, you're going to see about 2 weeks turnaround time for things selling. Some things much, much quicker, some things a little bit longer. Again, that's just the median days on market, but it does indicate that things are selling quickly out there and sellers are receiving, and on average, at least as much as they are asking the list price, typically a little bit more. So that's what you see there, average percent of list price received. And that's been pretty standard, over the past year or so, really. It's right around 100%. Sometimes it jumps up to like 101% when inventory is particularly low, like in the winter. And new exciting news, we are up 13% with new listings. So everybody's happy to see that. This time of year, we want to see more listings. We got a lot of people trying to move when their kids are getting out of school or before. So we are in the selling season, traditionally considered the selling season here in late spring, early summer. So we're up over 2,600 units for new listings. And it's actually 15% more than this time last year. So that's good news. We'd like to see that. And the big picture, though, we are actually down overall over 8%, multiply inventory 1.5%. So those new listings are desperately needed because overall inventory is still really low. Active inventory stayed pretty flat. So things are coming on market. More things are coming on market, but selling quickly. So we're still outpacing the supply with the demand, which has been the case, for a while now. So I'm going to hand it over to Drew. He's going to touch base with some local real estate news. Drew, go ahead, take it away.
Yep. So we are going to take a look at a local news article that Revy 10 just recently put out on the 21st. And that is titled, "Is Virginia's Real Estate Market Heating Up?" As the weather gets warm, the housing market seems to usually heat up. Kids are going to be getting out of school. Folks are more than likely, it's the time of year for them to make a move. So it kind of goes hand in hand with what we traditionally see. So we have seen the largest increase in sales in nearly 3 years just last month, which is great to hear. Things are defrosting from wintertime, of course. We're starting to see, military comes in and out of the area. So that does play a hand in it as well. And like I said, summertime, folks are more than likely to make a move. Now, in April, there was just shy of 9,500 homes were sold, which is up 14% from last year. Over here, you'll see that looking over a 10-year trend line, we're still below average, which, that's just the way it's been. We need to build more construction. We need more inventory. And that's what's really going to help things out. Home sellers, of course, can make a killing, is what they're saying in this market. However, we're experiencing a lock-in effect that you keep hearing us talk about, where folks are sitting, where they refinanced or purchased a home a few years ago at 3%, give or take. So that's why people are sitting nice and comfy in that interest rate lock which is still prohibiting some inventory from hitting the market. Leaving very little inventory for those first time home buyers, millennials, wondering if they'll ever be able to afford a home. That's a common story we keep hearing, but in survey after survey, it is still continued to point for the desire to own your own home. Once again, if you're going to pay rent or you're going to pay a mortgage, one of them, they both have their pros and cons, of course, but one of them is most likely going to build, future wealth with having that investment. And it's, once again, kind of where we are in a funky state because of those interest rates where they were hitting an all-time high last October, taking a dip in the beginning of this year, and then they started to rise a little bit. So, once again, folks are they're comfy, if they are in a sub 4% interest rate, they're kind of staying put. Initially, we were anticipating some rates to dip, this year in 2024. Of course, nobody's sure of where that's headed now. But over the last, 2-3 weeks, we have seen a little decrease in the rates. So for the near term, the high rates are locking up the inventory. It's kind of the gist of the story. But Ryan, I'm going to hand this next article, which is a national article, over to you.
Yeah, so we're going to touch base with some national news just to compare and contrast, our local market. Sales previously owned homes fell almost 2% in April from March. And then sales were also down from April of last year, same number, 0.9%, so almost 2%. So nationally, we're doing a little bit worse. And they talk about the lock-in effect, just like what we've been seeing here. It's same nationally. That's what's locking up a lot of this inventory, even though, as that one article said, that home sellers can make a killing with their equity that they've built up over the past few years with the rise of prices. Some people who are sitting in really comfortable positions with their interest rate, like Drew just alluded to, may be wondering, well, what am I going to do with that money? Go buy a house that's more expensive with a higher interest rate. So it's keeping a lot of people who don't have to move staying put. And the total housing inventory at the end of April was 1.2 million units. So that's up month over month by 9% and up 16% from the year before, but still just a 3.5 month supply. And as we talked about before, 6 month supply is considered balanced, right? So nationally, we have 3.5 month supply, which is just really low still, even though we have seen an influx of new homes. And so this tight supply keeps prices under pressure, something that we've touched base on before. And, what we're seeing locally, we're also seeing nationally as the median sales price continues to go up. Nationally, right now, it's at 407,600. So 407,000, significantly higher than our local market. So Hampton Roads is significantly cheaper when you're talking about median sales price. So that's good news, of course, for all of us that live and work here in Hampton Roads. So if you're looking to buy in Hampton Roads compared to other markets, even just within Virginia, it's cheaper to buy here. So that 407 number is an increase of over 5% year over year. We've been seeing that pretty steady increase of 5% or more, even over the past 4-ish years or so. And that's another record high price for April. So we've probably been hitting record highs on regular basis over the past couple of years. It's a record high is probably a phrase that doesn't even have that much meaning anymore with comparison to year over year home prices, right? So yeah, so that is the national situation kind of in a snapshot. Low inventory, though we're seeing a little bit of an uptick because it is the traditional season. It's still overall really low. Prices continue to rise, and home sellers, even though with their large equity gains, are hesitant to sell. And we are seeing that in our local market and national market. The real big difference is that we here in Hampton Roads are cheaper on average with our home prices. So that's a good thing. Very strong demand still out there, though, soaking up a lot of those new listings. And this slide here just touches again on home prices reaching a record high for the month of April. However, the pace of price increases should taper off since more housing inventory is becoming available. Um, so let's hope that happens. They keep trying to say that they want the pace of the price increases to taper off, and maybe that will happen. But right now, like we've been seeing month over month, it continues to get more expensive. Even 2% is significant. In our local market, it was 2% just from last month. That makes a difference, especially with the high interest rates. So hopefully we do see that slower pace of price increases as we get more housing inventory, and rates will play a factor in that. And Drew's going to touch on rates here in a little bit. One thing that I do find encouraging here, first time buyers seem to have made a slight comeback, making up 33% of April sales. So that's great to see. There's a lot of negativity out there amongst first time home buyers, mostly millennials, but it is possible. And, me and Drew will probably need to do a whole video on this topic regarding the age of buyers and who's out there buying homes. Millennials make up a surprising large chunk of that, which is good news. But that's not always the perception in the news. But that's a whole different topic that we'll probably touch base on. But I did want to point that out, that first time home buyers are making up a good percentage of the sales of last month. So that's good to see. So I'm going to go ahead and drop it off back to Drew. He's going to talk about some rate news. Go ahead, Drew.
Yep. So here we are. We're going to check out the interest rates via BankCom, and it shows, which we did, briefly touch on a few minutes ago, was that rates have decreased slightly over the past couple of weeks, which is obviously a great thing. We all want to hear that. The higher the rate, the higher your monthly mortgage payment is going to be. It's pretty simple cause and effect there. Once again, they Fed expected, analysts predicted that the rates were going to drop sub 6% in 2024. Hopefully, we're still going to see that. Obviously, we don't have the crystal ball. I don't know who does. If you find out, tell them that we're looking for them. Of course, the mortgage rate, they change constantly. Many factors could come into play. So nothing's new there. That doesn't change. Never has, never will. We could see a drop tomorrow. We could see a raise tomorrow. That's
Yeah.
really, that's the reality, right? So, we're seeing slight positives, decreases in those rates, but nothing extremely drastic. I don't think we're going to see anything drastic. That's just not generally how it works. But once again, we wanted to bring you the information, bring you some local news headlines, bring you some national news headlines so you can kind of compare the two. There are some differences and some similarities in both of those articles that we just kind of deciphered. So as always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to help in any way that we can.
Yep, absolutely. So thanks, Drew. Yeah, guys, just to summarize things, we're seeing steadily increasing home prices, as we have been, and the inventory is still low, but the good news is that we do have more listings hitting the market. So if you're out there shopping for a home, you should have some more options, hopefully throughout the rest of the spring and summertime is what we're hoping to see. We're hoping to see those active listings continue to hit the market more and more month for month for the rest of the year until we hit about fall, late fall. And then rates, it's one of those things, don't have a crystal ball. Like Drew said, I would be surprised if we saw any dramatic shifts in the rates just because of the inflation news. We didn't really touch base on that, but we have before in the past. But they're not seeing the markers that they're looking for as far as like the inflation tampering down. So rates are probably going to sit around where we're at. But if anything changes, we will bring it to you as soon as we know or we see that happening. So stay tuned for the next market update. Hopefully rates will decrease even more a little bit. Just like Drew said, though, can't really expect a dramatic shift in those rates.
And real quick, Ryan, I guess I didn't throw these numbers out there. We have seen a decrease, as I mentioned, the last week or two, from about 7.25, 7.33. Now we're closer to 7. So I just wanted to get that out there. But, of course, we can, tag in that link to bankrate.com in our description below. And you guys can read all the articles for yourselves if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that wraps it up. It's pretty short and sweet this time, guys. So if you have any questions, or if you're out there looking to buy a house, or you have a home that you want to sell, and you want to know if it's the right time for you, we're more than happy to do a consultation with you. We can schedule a quick 15-minute call, or we can meet up and grab a cup of coffee and just talk more about it. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, and we will see you next month.